Greetings people, today I will show you very cool EQ hack for modeler. I have no idea why I just did that, but it's staying in. For this video I was stimulated by some other YouTube videos who claim that you can cut out some frequencies and that you're gonna remove digital harshness on all modelers, and I was naturally not impressed. So the purpose of today's video is to impress myself. So the general idea is you grab a cup of coffee, preferably one with mushrooms, yes I found it, and spend the next few minutes with a guy who is sitting on a ball, yes a fucking yoga ball, and learning a really cool EQ hack that is going to work in pretty much any scenario, and I bet you didn't know this trick. So practically the video that I saw claimed that if you remove some high mid-range frequencies like 3.5, 4K, that you are going to remove digital harshness, and it works on every modeler, which I don't think is the case. Therefore, I decided I'm gonna show you a trick which will reveal actually which frequencies are problematic in your setup, in your sound, with your IR, with all the stuff that actually applies to you, and you will be able to pinpoint the right frequencies that you need to cut, and you can make actually surgical cuts and really surgically fix all these problems that you potentially have. So I prepared a really quick mix last night, and we are going to use that mix to listen to the guitar in context and just explain how this whole thing works. Alright, so I moved to using Bitwig, and I'm extremely happy with this DAW. And let's listen to the mix without the EQ on the guitar. I'm just using a little bit of a compression, and I'm using the Tonex plugin for the purposes of this demonstration. But this hack actually works with modelers, even with like an amplifier setup, works with everything. Alright, so probably you can hear that the guitar is panned on the side a little bit, and I also have some guitar ambience panned on the other side, which is like a typical trick you would do if you only have one guitar. So there is a bass guitar, a guitar, and some drums. So the general idea is to input white noise at the beginning of the signal chain so you can actually see what's happening on the parametric EQ. In the case of a plugin, I will be using a plug-in white noise. You can use a white noise track. In the case of a modeler, you can just use any kind of app on your phone or play a track on your phone and use a different like aux cable to input this. And I understand this might be annoying, but you do this only once, you do this correction, and you can keep it for pretty much all the time you're using the same amplifier or IR. And in case of an amplifier, you can just crank the amplifier without the cable inside, and you're gonna get a lot of white noise, you're gonna get the same effect. So take a look at this. So I'm using this EMO generator by Waves, and when I activate this, this is the sound that I'm getting. Alright, so if I remove the Tonex and the cabinet IR and all the compression, this is the sound that I'm getting. So it's typical white noise. If we take a look at the EQ, practically the thing that you're supposed to be seeing is a straight line. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be looking at the EQ while I engage the Tonex plugin and the IR, and you will be able to graphically see how the Tonex and the IR are sort of modifying our input signal. Okay, so now we practically see how our signal chain affects the sound. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to analyze this a little bit, and we're going to look for the peaks and possibly problematic frequencies, and we are just going to write them down. So in this case, the frequencies that I want to pay attention to are around 3.2, 2.2, and we also have the very high frequencies like 7.9 and 9.8. 8-ish, but we're gonna discuss the really high end in air a little bit later. Oh, and by the way, if you like the information that I'm giving you here, please smash the like button and subscribe to the channel, and visit the Slightly Technical Academy at slightlytechnicalacademy.com, where you can actually find some free Tonex packs. And these Tonex packs that I'm using in this video, registration is for free. I'm building a community of people who are willing to learn, and I have a lot of really cool content prepared. So what I'm gonna create small cuts at these frequencies, like surgical cuts, and I'm going to sort of polish the signal so I don't have any frequencies whistling practically. Okay, so I decided on a few frequencies. I also added some low cut, which is something that I frequently do on guitars, but it's like really low, around 65 hertz. Now let's take a listen to how each and every one of these little cuts affects our noise, and you will hear how we are removing the little whistling happening. Great, so let's listen to the guitar track with and without the EQ. Okay, so I'm gonna work now on removing these really high frequencies, because in dense mixes this really brings out some other guitar frequencies that are supposed to be heard. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to add a high cut, and I'm gonna bring it down all the way to, like, let's say 7.5, 7 in this case, because we have already these bell cuts for those very harsh frequencies. We don't need to bring it down all the way. A lot of the case in the mixes, they will bring it down all the way to like 3.5, 4K. And I understand not everybody likes this style. Let's listen. So you can see it sort of glues the guitar to the mix a little bit better. So basically what I've shown you is a very easy method to help you graphically see where you have the problems without the need for extensive ear training. And with this method, you can sort of polish your guitar to more or less extent. I can only give you some suggestions, like I like to pay attention to the frequency range between 2 and 3K, because it can be really harsh in those frequencies, and sometimes you really want to cut some guitar. It will also help the bass a lot if you work on the frequencies around here. And in general, you really need to pay attention with this high treble range, because if you cut a lot here, you will tend to not cut in the mix. These frequencies usually get masked by other instruments, and it really depends on the style and the density of the mix. If you find that your sound is harsh, then I would just go and change the IR, or for example the modular preset or something, instead of doing like some ridiculous cuts of high mid-range frequencies.